Hello everybody, welcome back to the vlog. My name is Filip Latocha, and today's topic is going to be about running warm-ups and little things I do here and there to more or less prepare for any sort of workout, whether it be a run, bike ride, anything like that. And basically, yeah, I've had this requested a couple of times already by some viewers and some friends of mine who want to know what the secret to running fast is. And I guess it starts with the warm-ups. It may, there's a good argument for it, but more or less, I guess, here we go. Actually, before we get into it, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. We are almost at 800 subscribers at the time of this upload. So let's keep going there, all right, friends? Because I'm getting really excited. We're about to hit 1,000. Maybe in the next coming months. Maybe as soon as I get like these 10 uploads I've got listed here, pumping and ready to go. Maybe we'll hit the mark. I don't know. We'll see. If you're already subscribed, thank you so much. I love you guys. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Probably first things first, disclaimer again, not a medical professional, not a physical therapist or anything like that, just somebody who's a running hobbyist who's trying to make it big. But yeah, basically that's kind of the little disclaimer before I start talking about some of this stuff. So yeah, okay, now let's get into it. 2 minutes into this video, right? Basically, running warm-ups, I think, are one of the most important things any runner should be always doing before any sort of workout. Why specifically? It's probably the same analogy we can use when you're driving a car and the oil in your car is cold. It's not going to function well, and it's going to cause a little bit of damage to your car if you start driving before the car, is warm and ready to go. Your body works in the same way. You need some blood flow. You need to identify parts of your body that are sore and beaten up from previous workouts before you start hitting the ground running and thinking, wow, my leg really hurts, or wow, my hip hurts, like what's going on? The warm-ups are there to identify your weak points from the night before, recover on some issues that you may have had reoccurring, as we'll probably talk about in the beginning portion of my warm-ups. And really, that's kind of the idea, is once you make it a habit to do these specific warm-ups, it kind of helps you get also into the mindset of, hey, I'm about to do a running workout, let's get this done. So these are some of the things I do more or less to warm up and basically have these astonishingly comfortable 6:30, 6:25 minute per mile runs on a daily basis. Basically, there's two things that go on for these running warm-ups. The first one is that I got plenty of time and I've got the resources to do it, so I will explain that in the first half. And the second half of this warm-up explanation will be if you do something like you just get out of your car, you need 5 minutes to warm up, and you start going. That piece is also included with the first half when I have the long warm-up rendition. And it goes something like this. First off, the things I like to do before I do any sort of running or any sort of dynamic or static stretching is foam rolling. I can't stress this enough. The foam roller, as my friend once quoted, is literally a gift from the iron gods of weightlifting. You should always foam roll literally every single day, in my opinion, because of the benefits you're going to get from it. And if you don't have a foam roller available to you, there are some other options you can use. Like if you got a PVC pipe, that will do some magic. Just be careful, don't break your back on the PVC pipe, I guess. I digress. So when I start foam rolling, the first thing I like to do is usually just foam roll the calves out. And if the calves are feeling good, then for the most part, I'm going to have an okay day running, assuming I'm not injured or there's nothing in the hips that are currently bothering me. So I definitely try to roll both calves, just kind of roll them out slowly, try to feel out the insides, the sides of them. And basically, once the calves are good, I start rolling up to the hamstrings, give them a little bit of stretching there as well. And then for each leg, I'll roll up the hips, and then I'll rotate around to the foam roller, basically about 270 degrees, just to start rolling into the quad for each leg, and then I flip to the other leg as well. Once I get those done, again, I do hit the hips, just try to sit on them for like 2 or 3 seconds just to see if there's any pinching or pain points in the hips, and if the legs all feel good, it's going to be a good day overall. Then, of course, I move on to the secondaries, which in this case is my back. Of course, foam rolling your back is always great. You can always, sit on it, just try to get some cracks out of it. I literally, almost always crack my back on the foam roller, which, again, has been a good thing. It's a good way just to fix your posture overall, kind of roll out any sort of shoulder soreness, any kind of arm or tricep combinations of soreness that you may be experiencing, because again, you are using your arms with running, and if you are experiencing some back soreness, it's going to be weird when you're swinging the arms to have a constant kind of soreness or dullness kind of there. So that's the first half of the stuff if you've got plenty of time to sit there for 5 to 10 minutes to foam roll. And after that, we start moving into basically some of the static stretches that I do as part of my 5-minute warm-up overall. First thing first, once I'm ready for the static and dynamic stretches, is I will do the calf raise, calf stretches on whatever sort of elements are available to me. So if you got one of those like platforms where you can keep your feet on them at an angle and you can lean into the calf board with your feet. The name of this thing is slipping my mind. I don't know why. But if you got one of these things, I'll just post a picture of it somewhere. If you got one of these things, this is the next thing I do, is try to stretch out my calves. Just feel any sort of micro tendons or any sort of other issues that may be there. Kind of gradually start increasing the blood flow to those areas if the foam roller already hasn't. That's where I'll start first. After that, I'm pretty keen on getting a hamstring stretch. So I will start doing just, the single-legged 90 degrees on whatever kind of elements, again, you have. In this case, I think the video I have, I was using one of those bike locker things, or one of those things where you just lock your bike on it, more or less. And yeah, that thing has been always pretty helpful. It's a 2-in-1 in my opinion, as long as you have a place for basically putting your feet and your hamstrings on. If there's bikes on the rack, it's kind of hard to do some of those things. But that's what I target next, is to give each leg about 10 to 15 seconds piece, and then I start moving on to doing just some quad stretches, just stationary. If I have to lean against the bike rack sometimes, then yeah, I guess that's what I'll do. But those are the kind of the big static stretches I will do at the time. The optional at this point, depending on how your hips feel, is to do the stationary, like figure 4, where you're basically trying to pull the stretch the hip muscle that's off to the side on the anterior side. I don't know exactly what muscle it is, but it feels really good when you do it. It looks like you're doing like a figure 4 standing, and then you kind of bend the knee of the leg that's basically holding you up, and you'll feel a really good stretch by the hips. I do that for both sides as well occasionally. So that's kind of the static stuff that I definitely do as a mandatory during my 5-minute warm-up, and then I start moving into the more dynamic stuff. So with the dynamic stuff, I don't do any sort of slow jogging whatsoever, just in case there's some sort of ankle soreness or I take a misstep and kind of misfire the whole thing. What I like to do first, actually, is do some skips. And while I'm doing those skips, I always start with arm circles and arm crosses to basically get everything in the upper body fired up and just ready to go. And once we start doing that and you're skipping, you're increasing the blood flow in your legs. You're starting to give a little bit of impact there as well. And you're kind of just giving yourself a whole balance that way. So I like to do 5 sets of circles and then 5 sets of crossing arms before I turn around and I start doing some butt kicks. Now, butt kicks are one of my favorites because they always get the hamstring, ankles, and basically your calves ready to go. And the first set I do of them are kind of slow. The idea is I like to just do 1 butt kick, and then I take 3 steps, and then I do another butt kick with the other leg, 3 steps, and I repeat this a couple of times until I've done 8 to 10 butt kicks per leg. And after that, I'll turn around and then I'll do some knee ups. And with the knee ups, it's the same concept. I'll like to do 3 skips, then a knee up, 3 skips, then a knee up. And then sometimes I'll do a couple of knee ups back to back for each leg, and I'll do like a set of 4 or 5, and then just repeat the pattern a couple of times until basically my legs are feeling kind of good. If the quads are experiencing a little bit of impact and there's like a confirmed no knee soreness going on in my body. And after that, I go into a second set of butt kicks, which is the one that's going to fire me up now for the run. And the way I do this one is I'll do 1 butt kick, 3 steps, another butt kick, and then I'll do a set of like 8 to 10 really high turnover butt kicks just to start, simulating a faster turnover while running. And I'll just do that really quickly, and I'll have 2 or 3 sets of that. And once I'm feeling good from that, and I can confirm the ankles aren't feeling beat up and the hamstrings and calves are now kind of fired up, this is when I start prepping for my run. And essentially that's kind of it for my warm-ups, more or less. I think the videos may do some justice if you've kind of followed along with them, but that's basically what I've been doing for the last 3 to 4 years of availability to the resources I have for these particular warm-ups. And since then, I've been predominantly injury-free, which is also contingent to like diet and vitamin D and bone strength. Obviously, we've talked about this in the past, but like for the most part, these particular warm-ups help me continue running fast on a daily basis without feeling excruciatingly sore the next day, muscle-wise. And it just allows you to have a good time overall, and it's just part of the habit for running. And in a way, if you do this 5 to 6 times a week, and you go about the distances I do, you're actually adding about 2.5 miles every week of running in the form of your stretches and workouts. So it ends up being maybe, 5 to 10% of your workouts overall to do these running warm-ups. And I'm a huge advocate of them, not just because I do them all the time, but it just, again, it's the best way to fire up your running before, you walk out of your car or a gym, you stretch one leg and then you just go for it. That just, I don't know, that science, that feeling, that thought of how that would feel running probably really sucks. And yeah, I don't know, I just couldn't imagine running not being warmed up in that sort of way. So I think that's all I've got in terms of the warm-ups. If you guys have any questions, definitely let me know in the comments below. If you guys have any sort of variations of warm-ups you do that you think would be interesting for me, or that you've done in the past that have been historically awesome for you, yeah, definitely mention them in the comments below. I'd be excited to try them out, to hear about them. So that's kind of just more or less where I am with all this stuff. So thanks again for watching this video. I'll see you guys real soon.